Every morning, Toby the tram engine would come to the station to pick up the workmen and take them to the quarry at the end of the line. He collects them with his coach Henrietta, who Toby loves very much. But one evening, the Fat Controller came to see Toby at the shed. "You are to go to the works for your inspection, Toby," said the Fat Controller. "It'll take a couple of days, but I'm sure you'll be fine." "But sir, who will pick up the workmen and take them to the quarry?" asked Toby. "I can't just leave Henrietta by herself." "Not to worry, Toby. I have just the engine for the job." Later the next day, the Fat Controller came to the quarry to see Mavis. "I would like you to pick up the workmen and take them to the quarry while Toby is away." Mavis was excited. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Something I need to get myself away from the quarry. I've always wanted to see what is outside the branch line." "That's a good engine," smiled the Fat Controller. "You'll be working alongside Henrietta as your coach. You start first thing in the morning." Mavis was delighted. The next morning, Mavis set off to collect Henrietta. In the coach shed, Henrietta was resting while she waited. When Mavis backed down into the shed, she gave Henrietta a big bump. "Ow! Careful!" called Henrietta. "Oops, sorry," replied Mavis. "It's my first time collecting the workmen. I just don't want to be late." "Well, you should be more careful when backing down. Coaches are not like trucks." "And where's Toby?" "Toby is away for his inspection. The Fat Controller asked me to work with you until he comes back." "Oh dear," groaned Henrietta. Once Henrietta was coupled up, Mavis set off to the station. At the station, Mavis and Henrietta had to wait until Bertie the bus came in with the workmen. They waited and waited. Mavis was becoming impatient. Tooted Mavis. "Come on, we're going to be late." "Be patient," replied Henrietta. "Toby never rings his bell. He always waits patiently until Bertie comes in." Mavis grumbled. But at last, Bertie arrived. "I'm sorry," panted Bertie. "There was traffic up ahead, and we had to wait until the other vehicles began moving." Yes, we get the picture," interrupted Mavis. "But we are already behind schedule thanks to you." "Don't be so rude," scolded Henrietta. "Bertie was doing his best, and you can't just blame others for being late. Toby would never do that." Mavis just rolled her eyes. Once the workmen were on board, the guard blew his whistle and waved his flag. Then they set off to the quarry. Along the way, Mavis wasn't being gentle. As she trundled along, she bumped and bashed Henrietta from behind. The workmen were having a very bumpy ride. They spilled their drinks and their lunchboxes went flying all over the place. "Gently now," called her driver. "Yes, I would listen to your driver if I were you, Mavis," added Henrietta. "I'm not like those troublesome trucks that you handle at the quarry." Mavis didn't answer as she rolled roughly to the quarry. She was even rough when she took the workmen back to the station that evening. For the rest of the week, Mavis wouldn't stop being rough, and Henrietta did not like it at all. The next morning, Mavis arrived to collect Henrietta to start work. She was coupled on and ready to go, but as she tried to pull, Henrietta slipped her brakes on. Come on, grunted Mavis. "I won't go," retorted Henrietta. "I'm not leaving until Toby comes home. Toby is not here, Mavis grumbled. Well, I'm not going with a rough diesel who doesn't know how to pull passengers. Well, too bad. I have to listen to you complain all week, which only makes me late. Mavis pulled and pulled as hard as she could, but Henrietta wouldn't budge. Then there was trouble. Mavis pulled too hard and the coupling snapped. She jerked forward, ran towards the points, and came off the rails. Luckily, no one was hurt. The station master came to see what was the matter. "What's going on here?" he asked sternly. "You should be at the station by now. You're late." Mavis's driver explained what had happened. "Bother! I'll have to get Daisy to pick up the workmen, and I'll have to report this to Sir Topham Hatt." Daisy overheard and was not happy about the news, while Mavis sat there derailed and Henrietta remained in her shed. A few minutes later, Percy arrived with the breakdown train and the Fat Controller. He was very cross. "I've received lots of complaints from the workmen over the past few days because of your roughness," scolded the Fat Controller. "I tried to tell Mavis to go gentle, but she wouldn't listen to—" "I'm not being gentle," interrupted Mavis crossly. "You were being rude to me the whole time. I was trying to do my best and you wouldn't stop complaining." "Oh, so now I'm the one complaining?" says the one who treats coaches like trucks. "I'm not always this rough. Am too. Am not." "Enough!" boomed the Fat Controller. "In my experience, judging by you two arguing, I say you both are to blame. Toby won't be back for the next 5 days, and if you two can't get along, I'll have Percy pick up the workmen and send you, Mavis, back to the quarry and report you to your manager." Mavis and Henrietta were ashamed. That night at the sheds, Mavis was very sad and cross with Henrietta. "I failed the Fat Controller," Mavis sighed sadly. "Well, you did, and it's your fault," grumbled Daisy. "Because of you, I had to be the one to pick up the smelly workmen, and arriving at the quarry was so dirty it was bad for my swerves. It's all because of the rude coach Henrietta. I don't know what Toby sees in her. Old, rude, outdated, and Toby knows Henrietta more than you ever knew," puffed Percy crossly. "He and Henrietta had been together since their old tramway," replied Thomas. "They are like a couple, and neither of them like being apart from one another." Mavis didn't realize what Henrietta was going through, and felt terrible for the way she treated her. Mavis wasn't the only one getting scolded that night. At the carriage shed, Henrietta was being scolded by Annie and Clarabel. "You two don't understand," grumbled Henrietta. "Mavis is a rude and rough engine. I don't see why she was chosen to be my engine. She should remain at the quarry where she—" "Mavis is the only engine who works at the quarry," interrupted Annie. "She's never pulled passengers before, or been outside the quarry or the branch line. You may think she's rude, but you're the one who's being rude yourself," added Clarabel. "We suggest you talk to Mavis and set aside your differences." Henrietta felt terrible. The next morning, when Mavis came to collect Henrietta, she slowly backed down on her and waited to be coupled up. Neither of them said a word to one another. At the station, while they waited for Bertie, Mavis spoke first. "I'm sorry for the way I acted to you for the past few days," said Mavis sadly. "I didn't realize how much you missed Toby." "As do I," replied Henrietta. "I didn't know how much you work at the quarry by yourself and never get to see parts of the branch line. or get to take any passengers. Maybe if we work together, we might be able to fix our problem, and you can teach me how to roll with Toby. I think that's a wonderful idea, dear. Just then, Bertie arrived with the workmen. The workmen walked up to the platform and scrambled inside Henrietta. Just remember, dear, slowly and gently. The guard blew his whistle, waved his flag, and Mavis rolled out of the station slowly and gently. "Hey, I'm doing it!" Mavis said happily. "Just keep doing what you're doing until we reach the quarry," called Henrietta. Mavis went slowly along the line. The workmen had a very smooth ride. Soon they arrived at the quarry gently and safely. When it was time to go home, Mavis did the same thing, and Henrietta would guide her on what she needed to do. The two did splendidly. For the next few days, Mavis and Henrietta did very well together. They made their journey safely and always arrived at the quarry and back to the station right on time. A few days later, Toby came back from the works and was glad to be reunited with Henrietta. "Thank you for looking after Henrietta for me," said Toby. "I should be the one thanking Henrietta for helping me," replied Mavis. "I would have never succeeded without her. I can see why she means a lot to you." Toby smiled, and so did his faithful coach Henrietta. Both engine and coach are now friends, and Mavis finally understood why Toby wouldn't be the same without Henrietta, the eldest coach on Thomas's branch line.